Modern immunology and medicine uses two main schools of thought for the delivery of vaccination information into the host cell. One is protein-based and the other is gene-based. What does that mean? Think about a book as an analogy. If you know a book by heart, you might be able to recognize it by the words in a passage someone read aloud. Conversely, if you saw the cover of a book in a store, you would also know what book it is. So you, as the observer, can come to the same decision whether you heard a passage read aloud or whether you saw the cover of a book somewhere. In this scenario, the gene-based approach is the content of the book, and the protein-based approach is the cover that is easily recognizable. Now, if you were to replace the cover or put a protective covering over it, you would have a much harder time recognizing that book. This is exactly what happens when we hear of mutations occurring on the spike proteins of the coronavirus. It's finding ways to hide the content on the inside from your immune system. The newer protein-based delivery methods stimulate the immune system after your body recognizes the antigen. In the case of coronavirus, the spike protein is an antigen of significant attention and importance. In the protein-based approach, you're showing the host, your body, the cover of its book so that your body can recognize it the next time around. Compare and contrast this method to the newer gene-based approaches. These vaccines carry genetic code for the host machinery to do the work and make the antigen. Think of this gene-based delivery method as using a QR code at a restaurant. All the information you need in the menu is right there. You just need the right machinery to decipher and translate it into a language you can understand. In effect, this is exactly what the newer gene-based technologies are doing. They're delivering the message of the book without having to bother to get the book printed or bound. The parts of the virus's genome are introduced into your body so that your body can decipher the code and translate it for the rest of your immune system. The newest gene-based vaccines use viral vector DNA, or RNA. Viral vector is the vehicle which delivers the code of interest into a human cell. Keep in mind that the genetic instructions are in the form of DNA or RNA. This is typically accomplished using a less harmful virus such as a common cold-causing adenovirus, which has been altered so it can't replicate itself. The body of the less harmful virus is used to carry the code of the scary virus into the body so that your body can decipher the important parts of the scary virus without having to worry about getting sick by it because the dangerous parts have been cut out. Now, take all this great research and medical development and breakthroughs which have happened over the past century and fast forward to 2020. In January 2020, Chinese researchers sequenced the novel coronavirus's RNA sequence and published it, effectively starting a race for the new RNA sequences of interest. As such, mRNA vaccine development got underway immediately. The newer techniques of protein and gene-based vaccinations really made significant advancements after the coronavirus outbreaks in the early 2000s with MERS, SARS, and other variants. They had figured out how to stabilize the spike protein in its pre-fusion configuration, which makes it much less inflammatory and much more appealing to the medical community. What is the spike protein and what is the pre-fusion configuration? In simple terms, the spike protein has to change shape so that it can interact with your own cells. Think of a shark getting ready to attack. If the shark's jaws are wired shut, you have neutralized the biggest threat, making it easier for you to analyze and study the shark up close. It's amazing how we can apply that concept to something so small you can't even see it with a standard microscope. mRNA vaccines are not conventional. Older vaccines used to have to be grown in eggs or cells, yielding an expensive and time-consuming process. In addition to the challenges of production and expense, immunity wanes with time, but the amount of time that the new COVID vaccines will protect us for is yet to be elucidated. In other words, we don't know how long they'll last. With ever-evolving variants and strains, and due to the complete and utter disregard for human life and pleas from the scientific community, there may come a time where we will have to vaccinate all children as with endemic viruses.